Hey, Shalom family, Shabbat Shalom, and happy Sukkot to all those who are keeping Sukkot right now in this season. I was out last night and it was a beautiful full moon out last night, and it reminded me of the wisdom of the Most High, of Him telling us, having us to have us out, keeping a feast out, telling us to be out in our tents, for the feast that He has us to keep, that is outdoors. And the wisdom of the timing on the 15th day of the month, which is right when we're at the full moon, so that when we're outside and when we're traveling to the location, or when we're outside, we are under the full moon and under a almost full moon during the duration of the feast. And so just reminded me His wisdom last night. So I just wanted to encourage everyone that is keeping the feast, especially those who may be on your own, maybe by yourself, or maybe you and your family had other plans that didn't work out the way that you wanted to, just to be encouraged in whatever way that you're able to rejoice during this time. This is the one feast that commands us to rejoice. It's a time of rejoicing. So the Most High tells us to rejoice, and I find it interesting that He brings us out of our customary comfort, especially in this day and age. We're in the time, we have houses, and we're in a comfortable place as far as when it comes to leisure. So he brings us out of a place of leisure, and then has us to be in a sukkah, be in tents, come out of our regular dwellings, and to dwell in a temporary dwelling that may be not as comfortable. If you're out in a tent or wherever the case may be, it may not be as comfortable as what our home or our bed or whatever the case may be. But He tells us to come out of our regular comfort, our regular leisure, and He brings us to that place and tells us to rejoice. And He calls us to come to this place to remember. So He brings us out of that place of leisure. A lot of times our place of leisure can also be a place of entrapment. We can be entrapped by our comfort, entrapped by our leisure, entrapped by the customary things, because we're in a place where Yah's kingdom is not being uplifted in the kingdoms of this world. Every kingdom on this earth is an entrapment when we are enwrapped in it. So the Most High brings us out, tells us to come out of these entrapments of this leisure, come out of these entrapments of this system, so that you can remember me, remember what I've done for your people. Remember how you were entrapped in Egypt. And even though it was an oppression, it still was something that was something that was what can I say, reliable, or something that was a regular thing. Sometimes we get so comfortable with something that is our usual thing that it's hard to put ourselves in a place of dependence. So we become attached to even our oppression because we are familiar with it. And the Most High has to bring us out of that place that is familiar, that place that has become a comfort, even though we hate it, even though it's oppressive, even though it's not what we want to be. He has to bring us out of that to bring us to a place of dependence, because sometimes we aren't willing to put ourselves in a place where we're just reliant on Him and just depending on Him, even when it's for our good, because we like things that are predictable. We like things that we know what it's going to be. It's kind of like you may wish that you had your own business, but the stability, that's what I'm trying to think of, the stability of that paycheck, is more of a comfort to you than to the instability of working on your own business or going forth. So sometimes the stability or the reliability of even our discomfort is better than going out into the unknown, or it seems that way to us. So the Most High has to remind us in this time of how he brought our ancestors out of that place of familiarity, that place of comfort, into a place where they had to depend on him for everything. Total dependence. They dwelled in booths and went from place to place and relied on the Most High and him alone. So he brings us out to remind us of that, so that we can remember that anything that's not depending on him is an entrapment, even if it's comfortable, even if it's leisure. So being uncomfortable, dwelling in a tent, is a place where, so he tells us to rejoice. So being uncomfortable, dwelling in a tent, dwelling in somewhere temporary, not knowing what the next step may be, he's telling us to rejoice in that, because there's joy in that place. There's joy in that type of discomfort, that type of what may feel like affliction at times, that type of unknown. There's joy in that, because in that place is where he is. In that place is where we can depend on him and come to know him and rely on his provision and his hand, leading us and guiding us. So he says to come and rejoice in that. Rejoice during this time. So knowing and remembering how he did it in the past for our ancestors, and then we're rejoicing knowing that there's going to be a time come where our rejoicing is going to be full. I talked about, I think in my other video, just about how Messiah said, well done, my good and faithful servant, enter into my joy. Now we get to enter into shalom, into his peace, into his joy, into a place where things are completed. So we look forward to that joy and entering into that joy. So we rejoice now, knowing that if we are in the place with him in this season, if we have come out of Babylon, we've come out of this world, we've come out of this system and made ourselves uncomfortable and made ourselves dependent on him and going from place to place, just relying on him, knowing that if we've put ourselves in that position and allow ourselves to trust in him alone, then we have something to rejoice in, to look forward to in a season that's coming very soon in the future. So be reminded, family, no matter what situation you find yourself during this Sukkot of 2020, remind yourself to rejoice. The Most High commanded us to rejoice. So I encourage you to look up scriptures that are dealing with entering into joy, rejoicing. A lot of times the scriptures tell us to rejoice through suffering and to rejoice through these different things, keeping this in mind. Messiah looked at the affliction that was coming on him through his death. He saw past that and saw the joy that was set before him. So the Most High is really dealing with us to be able to rejoice in this season. So I just wanted to put that out there, just to encourage you to remind yourself that this is a season of celebration and rejoicing. We've gone through trumpets of the alarm. Like I said before, we've gone through the afflicting our being. So now is the time to rejoice. So even if it's just you, even if it's, even if the circumstances surrounding you are unfavorable, even if, things haven't gone as planned, we have 8 days to, we got, 7 days left to be able to find a way to rejoice before the Most High and find that place of peace and shalom and joy within ourselves, so that we can so that we're not acting celebratory and acting joyful, but truly get to that place of joy within ourselves. So I pray peace to you. I pray shalom and spirit of thanksgiving, that the Most High will give you a fresh perspective on your specific circumstance and situation right now, that he would give you a fresh perspective that allows you, your ruach, your spirit, to be uplifted and able to rejoice fully. You are not alone. You are not alone. If you find yourself physically alone, know that you are not alone. Long as you show up fully for you and know that the Most High is fully for you, then you are not alone in him. And so remember that and rejoice. Shalom.